Well, we may have lost the northerly flow, but at a cost. Low pressure and unsettled conditions will dominate the upcoming weekend across the UK and Ireland. Before we continue with the video, be sure to hit that like button, share with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel. A very warm welcome and thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It is the final European Outlook of the working week. This upcoming weekend, it is a big one. We've got a tropical outlook that may be very interesting indeed. It may be the most interesting of the first three that I have done this season so far. Looks as if the MJO is in a favourable phase now for development within the Western Atlantic Basin. We'll talk about that in quite a bit of detail tomorrow, looking at all aspects with regards to the tropics. We will also have a quick update on the La Nina and how it's progressing. And then we move on to the day on Sunday. We've got the live stream at 4 p.m. Lots to talk about. The cool theme continues generally across the northwest of the continent. We've seen some remarkable heat across Greece and Turkey. As a consequence of that heat, the cool, should I say, across the northwest of the continent, that has been obviously handing off to the heat across the southeast of the continent. So we'll look at that. We'll look at the flood situation that we've seen recent days. Upwards of 20 inches of rain fallen within a 48-hour period in parts of South Florida. We may have some rain to speak about across drought-stricken Mexico. Temperatures easing there. We'll also talk about the Indian monsoon and the prospects of something kicking off soon there also. So, yeah, plenty of reason to stick around. If you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button if you are a lover of all things weather. We look here at Mark Vogan Weather at the UK, Ireland, Europe, but also the global picture as well. And that is something that I'm continuing to strive to provide a better product, unbiased, unhyped, unique content here on the channel. It is very, very dark here. The rains are falling quite heavily now, actually. This is the wettest part of the day so far. Winds coming in from the east because we're up here in the north of Scotland. We're in the northern flank of the circulation that is really going to dominate the course of the weekend. But it's very, very dark here. You almost need to put lights on. That's not happened in quite some time, I must admit. So yeah, rather interesting stuff. So yeah, tropical outlook tomorrow, and also the global weather report live stream at 4 p.m. on Sunday. I hope you can join me for that. So just a little something to whet your appetite with regards to the global weather report this upcoming Sunday. Let's have a very quick look at some tweets from recent days. 25.7 Celsius was achieved in the country of New Zealand. Escaped my mind there for a second. And that was an all-time June record for New Zealand. It was on the North Island. We've seen that temperature being achieved. So an all-time record for the month of June in New Zealand. Looking at the current situation with regards to the drought in Canada, we'll look at that in a little bit of detail. And also some very impressive winds. Now, unusual winds recorded at Eureka in Nunavut Territory in the north of Canada, were recorded a wind gust of 118 kilometers per hour, which is by far a new monthly record for June, and not that far from an all-time wind record achieved back in January of 1977 of 126 kilometers per hour. Rather strange to see such strong winds during the summertime. Obviously, you would expect that during the wintertime. So yeah, rather interesting stuff to say the least here. Looking at record-breaking temperatures in parts of North Korea, 37.4 Celsius. There's that 25.7 new June record for New Zealand. And then, of course, with as a consequence of the chill across the northwest of the continent in recent times, Greece upwards of 43.2, 51 stations recording 40 Celsius or higher, and 228 stations recording 37 Celsius or higher. Moving over to northern China, we've been seeing record-breaking heat here. Let's have a look at the ENSO neutral conditions that are present at the moment. La Nina is favoured to develop during the July through September period with a 65% chance and persist into the northern hemisphere winter coming up 2024-25 with an 85% chance during November and January. So yeah, final advisory for La Nina. We'll look at that in tomorrow's tropical outlook. Then we cranked the heat up even further in Greece. 44.5 Celsius was achieved. It's still to be confirmed, right enough, and a 43.9 in Crete. So 34 stations over 42, 136 over 40, and 322 stations over 35 Celsius. So remarkable heat across parts of Greece and Turkey in recent times. Moving over to Mexico, we've had a temperature of 51.9 Celsius was achieved in recent times in the northwest of the country. So some brutal conditions here, obviously harnessed by the drought, severe drought conditions that we've seen in Mexico. And we've also seen temperatures as high as 35.9 in Kyoto in southern Honshu island of Japan. That is the nation's highest temperature of the year so far. So yeah, a little something to whet your appetite with regards to the upcoming live stream this Sunday, looking at the global picture. So I hope you can join me for that. So yeah, this is the current 2-meter temperature anomalies for Europe so far this month through the first 14 days of the month to be exact. And we are running a good few degrees below average across the UK and Ireland. Obviously, France, Low Countries, Germany, Central Europe running firmly below average as well. The areas that are seeing warmest conditions, obviously, no surprise, Greece and Turkey. Down across parts of Western Iberia is also running above average. Northern portions of Scandinavia, much of Scandinavia with exceptions of far southern Sweden and Norway, we are running well above average, and the eastern and basically the eastern side of the continent is warmer than average. The western side of the continent is below average, and I expect to see this anomaly of warmth chipped away in the coming days down in Iberia, thanks to the fact that we've got quite a cold spell coming up for the next week to 10 days or so. Moving on, this is the upper air pattern of the GFS. So this is what we had during the course of the week. High pressure to the west, low pressure just to the east, northerly winds continuing to drive that anomalous cool into the pattern. Then as the pattern changes, and I looked at that in quite a lot of detail in yesterday's video, so check that out if you missed that, looking at the reasons behind this pattern change and the prospects of some warm summer weather to end the month of June. Not necessarily coming up in the next week or so, but there is indications by quite a lot of models that we have got region building with some warmth to speak about during the final 7 days of the month here. So there's that area of low pressure here. We've got a trough in place both in the upper levels as well as the low levels of the atmosphere as we progress through the course of this weekend, and areas of low pressure dumbelling around one another, trapped within a widespread high pressure pattern. You can see here that it continues right the way through the course of the weekend here. Areas of rain, shower activity, that is going to be the dominant force throughout the course of the weekend. See area of high pressure both to the east and to the west of the continent. So we're going to continue to see this warm theme over southern and eastern Europe, cooler theme across the west maintain itself. And you notice the trough digging further south here down into the southwest of Europe. So that's why I think we're going to see temperatures cooling off across Spain and Portugal. That anomaly is definitely going to get chipped away. Now watch what's happening. And this is what I alluded to yesterday. This is the latest run of the GFS ensemble here. Notice the negative now starting to appear to the west of the UK and Ireland. Watch what happens as we continue to play through this loop. You see the flip around taking place, and we're starting to see the high to the east, low to the west, and that means we should start to import something a little bit warmer as we progress through the final week or so of June. So I am remaining fairly optimistic that we are going to maintain this cool theme over the next 7 days, but I think we are going to start to see a warming trend become a little bit more prominent through the final week of the month here. And you notice that the high kind of lingers on towards the end of the month, generally speaking. So that's it for today. Short and sweet. Hope everybody is well. Like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you can join me this upcoming weekend for a look at all things global. Bye for now.